Welcome back to Beast Wars Wednesday. I'm your host, Predacon Paul. This is your other host,
Decepticon Doug.
And today we are discussing Code of Hero.
This episode starts with us coming into a valley, and there are two ape-looking creatures just minding their own business, doing like ape-like stuff, you know? They're all In comes a snake. It lurches up, prepares to bite, and let's just assume the worst.
I'm pretty sure the worst is what happened.
Yeah, snakes are dangerous.
Meanwhile, in the Maximal base, we see Dinobot in a way that I've never seen him before. Sitting there meditating with his sword, he looks up at the sun, sees the sun transform into a golden disc, a reminder of his failure as a Maximal, his failure as a Predacon, and he spins it, and it looks like he's going to do the unthinkable and kill himself. Something pretty dark.
Yeah, it's so dark that I didn't even think that's what was going on when I was a kid. I just thought he was just sort of like, meditating and getting really frustrated about like how things were going. But I didn't realize that there was a sheer level of despair that he was in over his actions. Dinobot loses the nerve and throws the sword away. Optimus shows up to the Maximal Bridge, and Rhinox is like, "Do you remember that transwarp explosion?"
No. Are we talking about that explosion that took place
while you were sleeping? Yeah.
Is that the explosion you're talking about?
Yeah.
Because, do you remember the transwarp explosion? Rhinox?
Stupid question. It's a funny moment. I like it.
I like it too.
He's kind of calculated that at the rate the transwarp explosion is moving into the future, it's going to be hitting Cybertron pretty darn soon. That means that Cybertron is going to be able to trace it back to where they are. That's great. Do you think Megatron's also figured this out? And
Rat Trap was like, if I was a betting rodent, and I am, I'd say, yeah, I'd bet a wheel of cheese. A 2-ton wheel of cheese.
2 tons of cheese? That is a lot of cheese. That would go moldy before you could finish that. So Dinobot enters a corridor, sees Rat Trap, decides to take a little jab at him, saying, "Hey, looks like this place is still infested with vermin. Bonk." He's like, "Oh, well, it's interesting. Nothing changes around here.
Except maybe the occasional allegiance."
It's the one and only Digo Double G.
That gets Dinobot's blood boiling. Dinobot approaches Rat Trap and dares him to push it 1 more inch. And Rat Trap pushes him about 4 feet, slams him into a wall, which is a very aggressive move.
Even when Rat Trap leaves, Dinobot is just... He's seriously hurt by the words, because they're true. Rat Trap said that he just doesn't know where Dinobot stands anymore. What can he say to that? He earned it.
He's earned every bit of contempt from his comrades.
Dinobot's lamenting about where he's at, and he's like, well, you know what? A deed once done cannot be undone, but perhaps yet be mitigated. So he takes out a gun and books it. So Air Cheetor is flying around doing some scouting the way that he loves to do. And he's talking in code, really enjoying it. He's like, Krabby and crab legs, all you can eat, because he spots Megatron, that's Krabby, and Rampage, that's crab legs. And they're big, so it's all you can eat.
And in a dramatic turn, something I did not expect at all, Rampage and Megatron just open fire on Cheetor.
What?
They just start shooting at him.
What?
They're just like, with reckless abandon, just like, what if one of those bombs or bolts hit him?
He could have gotten really hurt.
He could have. So then Cheetor decides to tell everyone that, hey, guess what? I'm being shot at.
Nobody's getting back to Cheetor except for Dinobot. But he's like, can somebody please follow up on Megatron? Because I think that they're up to something. And Dinobot's like, yeah, man. I'm on it. Tarantulas is looking over his territory.
He notices, hey,
something is caught in my web.
Is that a gazelle? That's a gazelle, and it looks delicious.
This is something that's weird. Tarantulas with his little, beak mouth now. Can he really, eat things like that?
Well, it's better than those 2 butt cheeks he had before.
Well, but those are actually, those are actually, spider mouths. I feel like I can understand that a bit more. But, I don't know. Let's see it happen. He opens his little lair. He starts crawling out all creepy-like.
The gazelle knows it's coming. He's like, oh, crap. Oh, crap.
But something breaks through the rocks from underneath him, pointing a little gun to his chinny chin chin. So he transforms, but not fast enough. Dinobot emerges from the rocks, grabs him by the throat just as he finishes transforming, points a gun at his face.
Hey, have you seen Megs?
Asks him what he knows about the golden disc. Look, I don't know what's going on with Megatron. He won't risk a security breach, so he keeps the disc with him all the time. I don't know nothing.
But you know what? Dinobot doesn't care. I'm gonna get him.
You can't get him. He's miles away.
Yeah!
Guess who actually has the last laugh on that subject? He hops on Tarantulas in his little biker mode, and they go vroom.
Megatron's on top of a precipice overlooking the valley where the proto-human ape things are, and he's looking up at a mountain.
Megatron puts his normal blaster thing away because he's been working on this little thing for a while, like a projector, which is pretty nifty.
And he tells Rampage, I want you to blow that up. Yeah, Rampage is like, no, you're not my mom. You're right, I'm not, but I do have this sandwich that looks an awful lot like your Spark. And he's like,
I like the exchange between Megatron and Rampage here because it shows such a level of resentment on Rampage's part. He's like, I really don't want to do anything you say. Megatron's like, Cybertron's coming, and then Rampage is like, oh, well, they're going to come and kill you. I can't wait. As they're watching the projection of the mountain, and the mountain explodes, the image disappears and reappears, and that reveals the truth. It shows that any choices they make and any changes they make in the past do actually make a difference in the future. With the golden disc, Megatron's power is limitless.
he has a complete record of the future development of humanity. Were it not for humanity, the Decepticons would have won the Great War, and they would be the ones who rule Cybertron. If proto-humanity does start right here in this valley, then in this valley is where humanity will end before they even begin. So he tells the entire Predacon group to kill everything.
Dinobot gives his fellow Maximals a call, saying like, hey guys, here's the biggest problem you probably ever known. You gotta hurry up. With his back turned, Tarantulas blasts him, says his little quip about spiders, and like, spiders tend to be venomous. Dinobot says a fond farewell to Tarantulas, blasting a boulder onto Tarantulas. So, see ya. And then Optimus is like, okay, we're on our way, hold back until we get there.
And Dinobot says negative.
Proto-humans are already like being extinguished. He can't wait for the other Maximals to show up.
He has this great little speech about how the disc proves that he does have a choice.
His actions are his own, and they do make a difference.
Yet ironically, in this situation, he actually doesn't. Let's go fight.
Bring it! I think that's what he says, right? He enters the battle, starts right away with Inferno, takes him by surprise, and slashes right down, cutting through Inferno.
Yeah, Black Arachnia sees what's going on. She turns around and then unleashes her leg guns on both of them. He spins Inferno around, shoots Black Arachnia, turns the gun on Inferno, and boom! Takes off his head.
Dinobot jumps down with his chopper, using it as a propeller. He shoots the blaster out of Rampage's hands, and Waspinator turns around, bam, bam, shoots the gun out of his hand, shoots the chopper, which causes Dinobot to fall right on top of Waspinator. Overkill is Rampage's middle name, so he transforms into tank mode, turns it to Dinobot. So Dinobot, quick on his feet, grabs Waspinator, sticks his head in Rampage's hole. Boom! Rampage's head explodes. But don't worry, everybody. Waspinator's okay.
Somehow.
I gotta say that the timing of Waspinator's that's just like comedic perfection. Yeah. I love it.
Megatron, from up in his perch, witnesses his troops getting massacred by Dinobot and decides, I'm going to send in Quick Strike. And Quick Strike, always the scrapper, decides, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to kick his keister. Dinobot, he gets hit by a blast from Quick Strike. Dinobot then decides to try and blast him with his eye lasers. The first one hits him, which is more of a gentle punch. The second blast comes out as a sparkly mess. He's only got about a foot of range. Dinobot's nursing his wounds, gets up, picks him up, and slams him into a boulder. Dinobot gets a warning from his internal circuits. stasis lock is imminent. If he doesn't go into stasis lock, he's gonna die. Dinobot commands his circuits to override, and then he hears the gentle footsteps of a Tyrannosaurus approaching from behind.
Megatron.
Dinobot knows who's left. Process of elimination, after all. And he did all the eliminating, so there's no question left.
He really did.
Oh, Dinobot, is that you? My ears are burning. Oh, you waltzed right into my big day. Today's my big day. You're looking great. You're looking like you're about to die.
And here's me, 100%.
And, watch out. Before you try and attack me, I kind of kidnapped this proto-human. You step any closer, I'm going to kill this little ape guy. The ape guy's just like...
He didn't do anything.
All they were doing was being down there getting eaten by snakes.
Yeah.
So he's about to take out Dinobot right then and there. And he's going to shoot him, but Dinobot lashes out. He grabs a stick and starts bashing into Megatron. Megatron just knocks him away. He's like, what are you doing?
A stick?
A stick!
Versus all these gains.
Against these pythons? I'm trans metal, dude.
What can you possibly do?
Improvise. He takes the stick, throws it onto a sharp rock, smacks him so hard the golden disc goes flying out of his little compartment, and he falls on the ground with sparks shooting out of his chest. Dinobot grabs the golden disc before it hits the ground, uses whatever energy he has left in him. He blasts upward and destroys the golden disc. It shatters into pieces.
He bellows out probably the most intense, heart-wrenching scream I've ever heard.
Just as the other Maximals are finally getting there.
And in true Optimus fashion, while still descending, unloads with those twin cannons of his. Megatron decides that it's not worth it to take on the entire Maximal team by his lonesome. And he leaves.
The Maximals are all around him. Cheetor asks if there's anything they can do. Rhinox says he's too far gone, even for stasis lock. Optimus reassures him that they saved the valley. They saved the lives, some of the lives anyway, of the people who were there and those who would come. Saved humanity as we know it. So thanks, Dinobot.
Yeah, man. We wouldn't have Beast Wars Wednesday without you, man.
Yeah, it's true. His spark leaves his body, floats upward. His Maximal comrades salute him. Optimus says, may his spark join the Matrix, the greatest of Cybertron. Back in the valley, the ape from before finds the weapon that Dinobot used to strike down Megatron. The snake comes up behind him, probably the same snake too.
What a greedy little bastard.
He lunges and the proto-human turns around with the weapon, smashes the snake in the face, and it falls down dead. And he's like, woo, I like that. Throws its arm in the air and goes, wow, in a victorious moment of enlightenment. And the episode fades out.
Alright, let's start with the things that we did not like with this episode. Number 1, Dinobot racks his gun like twice in the episode.
Yeah, that's...
First when he comes out of the Axelon, when you see that in movies where you're like, when you put the magazine in the gun, the chamber is still empty. When you pull the slide back and you release it, it then racks around into the chamber, and then you've got a cartridge in there and you're ready to go to town. So, he's racked the gun. There's now a cartridge in the chamber. He gets the report from Cheetor, transforms, racks it in this really epic pose.
It's all dramatic.
It's super dramatic, but all he did was eject a perfectly good cartridge. The animation in this episode, while on Dinobot looked really, really great, and like the fire and like that whole battle looked really, really good, I felt like in certain spots it looked a little soft.
It was Megatron specifically, I found.
Megatron, yeah.
There was one shot in particular where he just looked very unfinished.
Yeah.
Frankly, completely unacceptable. Yeah, also there's this part at the very end, during Dinobot's funeral, and you look down at Rhinox and Rat Trap, and you're like, wait a second. I know that shiny metal, but that's season 1 Rat Trap. They didn't even use the right character model. Come on, guys. Basically what we're saying is this episode is trash. It is a waste of your time.
Well, I wouldn't really call it essential viewing.
You know, I'm about to jump ship with this whole Beast Wars thing.
Screw the channel too.
Yeah. I'm giving up YouTube. I'm giving up my internet. I'm gonna go live in a hobbit hole.
Let's segue into some of the things that I like. For one, I love the fact that Megatron, I'm fairly certain, ensured the survival of humanity. If it wasn't for the fact that he attacked the valley and it forced Dinobot to fight using a stick, it is quite possible that humanity could have gotten taken out by a group of predators. The snake was a legitimate threat to these primates. He discovers this tool and then he uses it, learns that, oh, this is a very useful thing to help me forage and make food. So now he's got a greater food source, so now the species can thrive. Megatron engineered the destruction of the Decepticons. I love that about this episode. Okay, let's talk about Dinobot's savagery in this episode.
Oh, yeah. There's actually some legitimate strategy.
Although you can tell that he's like hyper pressed for time because the valley is falling. The one dude's getting dragged away by his buddy, like, and you could just see them just like roasting. This was truly Predacons being evil and not just the bumbling idiots that beat on each other and stuff. Like, they were efficient, deadly killers, and they were going to wipe out a valley of primates that are no threat to them whatsoever.
And there's some great symbolism there as well, because you see Rampage stomp on a butterfly, you know, the butterfly effect. Dinobot's strategy, top-notch choice, taking out Inferno first, taking him by surprise, because as we know, Inferno and Dinobot kind of similar power level.
Both over 9,000, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And Inferno is really like devoted to follow Megatron's orders. He'll basically lead himself into death. Dinobot incapacitates him in the worst way, like just slicing him in half. When all is said and done, after he takes out Black Arachnia, who's like, I mean, Black Arachnia won't be nearly as invested in sticking out of the valley.
She'll take a hit and go, okay, I'm up.
She's like, this isn't worth it. Just to make double sure, Dinobot blasts off Inferno's head to make sure, like, okay, there's no way he's coming after me after this.
One of the things that I loved about that sword attack first is the fact that it wasn't this quick shing. That blade doesn't cut in the traditional sense. It's like these gears that rotate.
And I gotta commend Jim Burns, the voice actor of Inferno. If you listen to like the noise he makes, it sounds like he's in a lot of pain. That sounded like Inferno really feeling it. And then he's also smart to keep Inferno's gun on him, because that is a powerful blaster. He's smart to shoot at Rampage. He's smart to disarm Rampage, because Waspinator is nowhere near the threat Rampage is. Like, they're on different ends.
They're on completely different sides of the spectrum, yeah.
So landing on Waspinator, I mean, that's just good aiming as he's falling down. With Rampage, to some degree, he did get lucky. Rampage could have ripped him apart if he stayed on robot mode, but, you know, Rampage being who he is, he's like, I'm just going to use my mountain blasting cannon. Dinobot's tactician is able to think on his feet. And, you know, why not just use Waspinator's head to plug the cannon? And, you know, Rampage is powerful and immortal, but he's still not walking away easily from that one.
He was just a husk after that.
Quick Strike was only a threat because of how far along Dinobot was. But that blast from Quick Strike, the Cyber Venom, was not doing him any favors.
His was like an explosive that then released this toxin into his system as well.
Getting a face planted into a boulder did the trick.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of his little rampage.
And then it's just for him to figure things out with Megatron.
So we talked a little bit in the previous episodes. You get to see everyone sort of like poke at him and just sort of like have the little quips. Like,
yeah. Except
Optimus, he handled it like a champ. He was just like this, you know, to him it's not going to help anything. But although he did say to him, was like, let's see if I come after you, if you're stuck in a storm, and he leaves. Optimus is usually more diplomatic when he explains. He's like, no, that's not how we do things. Like, which shows that like a sense of finality as well. I'm done with your crap. I'm going to do my mission.
Thinking about it, that is their last interaction before Dinobot goes on this crusade. Because they don't interact at all at the beginning of the episode. The only interaction Dinobot has is with Rat Trap. It's kind of this like the stories about like somebody dies and then they're like, last thing we did was we had a fight and I regret not telling him how I really felt. Luckily, like all the Maxwells were there too. They had a chance to say goodbye, but you know, maybe some of them might even feel like perhaps we did this, perhaps we pushed him to have to do this. You know, I don't know. It adds this sort of like extra like complex like emotional layer to it.
I feel a great sense of loss myself when I watch the character die, because he's one of my favorites. And his relationship with Megatron and Rat Trap and Optimus and, you know, those three key players in this show, Each relationship is unique, and he tends to have friction with all of them for different reasons.
When I first saw this episode, once I hit that point where I knew what was happening, I got this like real sense of dread and loss. I just had to watch to see how it played out, because maybe I was wrong the whole time. This nail biting, like, are they actually going to do it? Are they actually going to do it?
And he's getting progressively worse and worse.
And more as the episode progresses, you see there's no way out of this. And the thing is, I could tell kind of like just from the mood of the episode that there was going to be this sense of loss. And when it finally happened, I broke and I cried.
Oh, dude, I did too.
And I just could not believe that they did it.
I definitely broke when I watched this the first time. And I was trying to hold it together when I watched it today. I was like...
I was feeling it. I was feeling the emotions stir up. Even more so this time around. Like, with us having to really watch the show, really critically look at it and break it down. And I understand Dinobot's journey better than I ever have before.
And here he is in the most appropriate way possible to atone for his sins of giving Megatron ultimate power. He gives his life, literally his life's breath, to take it away from him.
Yeah.
And that's heavy.
And I gotta tell you, not what one expects from a kid's show.
No, not at all. Yeah, that final scream, that...
The voice acting is incredible, you're right. Scott McNeil, legend in the voice acting scene, plays 4 different characters in the show alone. His performance of Dinobot in this episode is just perfect. You really feel the conflict inside of him. You really feel the sting from Rat Trap. You really feel like the venom in his voice when he says Megatron's name. And of course, like the final holler when he destroys the golden disc. It's absolute perfection. Because I know that Scott McNeil, from interviews I've seen, he liked the show. Like, there's a lot of voices that he did in shows where it was just a job. He'd do a good job, but it was just a job. He liked Beast Wars for the show that it was. He was just as invested in Dinobot as the fans were. He brought his A game. There was something just extra special in some of his choices in this one. And you know, Megatron, David Kay, also really brought his A game. Like the way that he taunts Dinobot at the end is just so true to his character, and so like spiteful. And also, Gary Chalk as Optimus at the very end, delivering the "Lived a warrior, died a hero." Like, he doesn't get tons of lines in this episode, but like the ones that he gets, he's committed to, totally committed.
Okay, well, after much deliberation, after weighing a lot of the positives with the negatives in the episode, we're going to give Code of Hero 2.5 out of 5 shattered golden discs. While it's a good episode...
Yeah, it's not bad.
Unfortunately, we can't get past that...
No.
5 out of 5.
If not the best of the series, definitely in the top 3. It's just from start to finish... this really emotional journey of redemption, and it's just the perfect farewell to a character that's beloved by many.
I'd love to talk about it more.
I guess we'll have to chat more in the comment section down below.
Please engage us.
Let us know what it was like when you first saw Code of Hero, and hey, did you cry like we did? This episode is, I find, like, definitely the one that people remember the most, for sure, because it does leave such an impact. And it really shows that this creative team were not interested in pandering to kids. They wanted kids to have a chance to really engage in visceral, emotional storytelling, experience loss, experience excitement, and sadness.
It also helps to generate the thought process in kids about whether destiny is just an idea or if it actually exists.
And also seeing consequences to your actions. If you made bad decisions, you may have to do something to atone for those. I'm not saying you're gonna have to die, but there are bigger ideas at play here. And you know what? They even managed to squeeze in a bit of humor in there.
And you know what? I'm gonna miss him.
You know, Beast Wars going forward, and as a result, Beast Wars Wednesday going forward, there is a hole where Dinobot used to be.
Thank you for watching Beast Wars Wednesday. Please like, subscribe, share, favorite the video, click that little bell, and as always, tell your mom.
It's garbage. See you later, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.